supposed to be a version of Dante's Inferno. That's why the main character's name is Dante, and that's why it seems like him and Randall instead of Virgil, as in Dante Alighieri's story, go on what seems like one episodic adventure after another. So just think of them each as a different level of hell. And then you do, like, it kind of makes sense why he chose to tell the story in that way. And so when I think about like the jump from uh, uh, this movie to Fight Club, for example, like we're both talking about generational angst. What does this generation, how does this generation define itself? What does it want to
That's
do
it.
with itself? Like, do you take it in this direction of rage, or are you guys just going to play hockey and sell drugs and fuck off? Which one are you going to take it? But, just to have those two, just to have Clerks in between, leading up to Fight Club, says that, yeah, this is kind of this, and it is kind of a comedy like Dante's Inferno. Both of them are, because you have to kind of laugh at that absurd. You need it, and unlike, like, say, I don't know, like Cool Hand Luke and Easy Rider, which were the, generation, let's say they're the generation defining counterculture movies of their day. They did their part just as well. And, I mean, Cool Hand Luke isn't an indie film, but I mean, Easy Rider was just Dennis Hopper fucking off with a camera. Like, it really was, So a lot of it is also hampered by the technology of the time, but it makes that statement, about a small part of that generation. Everybody else is not like a Kevin Smith. And so when I also heard that the movie has that dark ending, it kind of makes sense. It makes sense because when you look at it the way Kevin Smith, as a person who sacrificed and worked and risked, yeah, do it before you run out of time. Do it. Stop doing, these things for this job that hates you. Stop going to this place for these people who aren't going to remember you in a couple of fucking years. Don't waste time. Don't lose your dream to satisfy everybody else. Get the ambition, get going, or before you know it, it's going to be too late. So when I heard about the death scene, I said, that kind of rings better with the kind of person that I think Kevin Smith is and what he's trying to say to this lost generation. You know what I mean? Because, whereas Fight Club is, clearly over the top and the movie is different from the books, like this one, this is also a love letter to his generation. Don't waste your talent, don't waste your ability, don't waste all of your time, because all of these adventures, again, what he's going through with his girlfriend and running into Snowball and all of that sort of thing. When you think about, when you look at it backwards, I mean, yeah, it was all a waste of time. It was all foolish. It was all pointless. Don't be that guy. Like all of these people, they're just going to go back and screw off. And I feel like, like you missed an opportunity, even though it is more honest, the fact that they all just go back and screw off. You do miss an opportunity to say something heavier, and much more poignant about it. Because in that case, it is kind of like, you remember the ending of Easy Rider.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. The ending of Easy Rider, yeah, like they both suddenly die because they both realize that they're phonies.
Mm.
Like they have that moment where they realize, like, no, we're just as bad as everybody else. And even though you're just loving this movie and you're enjoying the shit out of it and you're thinking it's just a wild ride, it's like, no, he stops it and makes that point. So I'm also advocating for that darker ending, speaking as someone who made it through the 90s as well. Making a jump really quickly to talk about the independent film thing. Yeah, I totally was that kid. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to make an independent film. Me and my friends, we used to sit around and just babble on about movies we're not going to make. But you just wanted to because it seemed like the avenue was finally open. But yo, even making an independent film is still very hard. And one of the things that's really difficult about it is working with other people. Like Kevin Smith, he got some real actors for some parts, but for some other parts, he had to just like get anybody, including his mom, like anybody and everybody to be in this film. And it's actually still very, very difficult. And it makes you admire the fact that he was willing to take this risk to get this done, because no one was asking for this movie at the time. No one was asking for this film. No one was asking for a movie about a bunch of people you go out of your way to avoid. All right. Yeah, seriously. If you went, my love for you is chicken berserker. Yeah, that was that movie. If you see a motherfucker doing that on the street, you're crossing the street. And that was it. Like, these are a bunch of down and out weirdos, you know, and a love letter, all of that work. I mean, just think about the irony. That's so 90s, so much work to portray down and out losers.
It's absolute. That's dead on.
You know, the funny thing is, I was trying to say what Greg said by saying Framingham, but yeah, Greg nailed it.
Yeah. And again, you know, the Dante's Inferno parallel, when I look as a good Catholic, you know, you can honestly do anything you want with Dante's Inferno. It's not at all in the Bible. It's basically Dante writing a story about the terrible things he would like to see happen to people he hates.
Wait,
That's
people
really,
think Dante's Inferno was in the Bible?
No.
Some people do. Yeah, they think it's, I don't know, for lack of a better word, canon.
They left you on their right foot.
Yeah, you know, like, well, it's fine, because that's the thing. Like, it was used as very good propaganda at the time.
The first images of hell, there's none of those images. All the images of hell we think about are from Dante's
Inferno. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so just taking it to that level too just makes this a fact, because down and out losers probably don't know much about Dante's Inferno.
You kind of
that's a judgment, you know, like I'm just, you know, a broad label right there. I'm just saying. If they had to go to Catholic school, they probably had to pick up on some of it anyway. But for that to be the format and that much work, this makes this a monumental movie about fuck ups.
That is a beautiful statement in that regard. A monumental film about fuck ups. And did you just say making fuck?
Did you say making fuck?
It kind of changes the movie when you look at it as a prequel to Fight Club.
It is, you know, I think those are absolutely dead on and amazing points, all up and down the chain. And I think as well, and a little bit of a spoiler going into, though, all you have to do is read about why he's making this new one. Your point about what you would do with your time and the valuableness of it and how little of it you get is what brought him back to this format again, because of his own heart attack. And that's very central in the new film. So I just think it's interesting, you know, Greg, you picked up on it, you know, clearly it was somewhere in there. It was on his mind even all the way back then that, yeah, you're right. Don't waste your time, you know, going to that cousin's, you know, going to your ex-girlfriend's funeral who had a stroke in the pool, know, and knocking over the casket. And
she was like in her 100th lap, and then she like her brain just exploded.
One of the illustrious seven. But I mean,
I would be remiss if we had this episode about Clerks and I did not talk about my favorite scene. It has little to do with nothing. Actually, it has a lot to do with the whole plot, but at the same time, it's such a fucking awesome scene where they're playing hockey on the roof, and then the guy who's been trying to get service the whole time gets up there. He's like, "Yeah, give me the stick." He lost. Oh shit! That right there. That to Greg's point, that was so indicative of a lot of people I grew up around. We're like, "Oh yeah, you're not gonna do this for me? All right, well, fuck you. This is what's happening."
Yeah.
And I feel like it's time, being the flat circle that it is, to go back to our Matthew McConaughey fetish here. You know, we're right there with it right now. What is one of the things that Americans are setting their hair on fire about right now? You can't get anyone to work at the Starbucks. The Starbucks down the street from my gym that I work at, that's not even down the street, it's just in the same block, is closed.
Right next to it.
Right. It's right next to it. It's closed. They can't get anyone at it. And people are losing their goddamn minds. I mean, this is absolutely it, right? The Dantes of the world are really going back, taking it to another literary example. They are the Bartlebys, the Scriveners all of a sudden, right? I'd rather not. Throwing sand into the works of, all these things. And I love it, Greg, that this epic film about a bunch of fuck ups. And that's kind of the beauty. I'm as annoyed as I am, I can't get my caffeine intake exactly when I want it, the very second I want it these days. I'm loving these kids. I'm loving these ones who have just said, fuck you. I don't want to make your latte for you right now. Like, there is something so monumentally amazing about that. So let me dedicate part of this episode to them, to the working clerks of America,
the working clerks,
and the non-working clerks, the ones who just said, you know what, no, fuck you, and this job certainly isn't worth it, and it ain't worth it if you're going to kill me by breathing on me and refusing to wear a mask or whatever it is. The very fact of it is just, hey, I got better things to do with my time. You're right, my time is short.
That's something that he never touches on in Clerks, but it is partly that also. Like, like, these are menial jobs, but you need them to do it, but you shit on us the whole time.
Exactly.
And the pandemic, without getting off the subject too much, but the pandemic kind of exposed a lot of those hypocrisies once and for all. Absolutely. For this generation of menial workers. And, the fact that they're making so much money right now. So much money. They made a killing during the pandemic. It's like, nah, I'll come back when you learn how to share.
They made it up to full $15 an hour. Oh my God. Ooh. Life on easy streets. Right?
One quick note about Clerks and a lot of interactions and how the characters act. Am I the only one who watched that movie and continue to watch that movie as taking place in Boston or definitely New England the way everyone acts? Because I swear to God, every single person is so super New England in it, down to like the guy just said, first of all, they're playing fucking hockey. All right. So automatically you gotta locate where you're at. Second, how they're interacting with everyone. It's just one fuck bomb away from being like Boston. And then on top of that, just the reaction my man had that I'm talking about in the scene where his instead of some sort of conflict resolution, he goes full fucking New England and he's like, this is what I'm gonna do to you. And he launches your goddamn puck off the roof. And then he goes back down to get some service. Like, there's so much in that.
Well, I think that was part of the point too. Like, that's why I said, like, this is kind of like, about, basic ass white guys. Like, it kind of is about basic ass white guys.
It is the champion of basic ass white guys, without a doubt.
You can find it's the Lawrence of Arabia of basic ass white guys. And you can find those dudes in both Dakotas. You can find those dudes in New Mexico. They'll wear different clothes, but it's the same motherfucker. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's exclusive to that. I'm just saying, like, literally the people in it and how they're acting. It just felt like he just literally just went to a bunch of mill towns in Massachusetts and pulled people.
That's a fair judgment.
He was already there with Ben and Matt Damon.
I'll start to land this plane for today, but I'll tie it back to another movie.
This plane crash landed a long time
ago.
Oh
yeah, no, this plane's been in flames for a long time.
This is your spirit phantasm.
But I'll tie it back down to the same idea as you say, like the Lawrence of Arabia, basic white guys, and going back to, of all things, Say Anything. When he's searching, when the John Cusack character is searching for meaning, he goes to the gas and sip, right? Yeah. It's like, if you guys all got your shit together, why are you all sitting here on the gas and sip alone?
Right? Bitches, man.
By choice, man.
Yeah.
Bitches, man. Bitches.
It's man, exactly. There is something so there is so.
Why'd you do that? Because now I'm thinking like all the sub comments that came right after that kid said that. Like, one guy's like, that kid's gotta get laid.
It just ties it in. Well, I will end this week's thoughts off with just another heartfelt thank you to Kevin Smith. I'm looking forward to the new movie. I have liked his back catalog of work, and finally, you know, to even to this medium of podcasting, that it finally